Team 9 forecast.
Becoming mostly sunny on this Tuesday with an afternoon high of 87, which is about 10 degrees above normal. Clear tonight, low 64. Wednesday, mostly sunny, very warm. High temperatures in the upper 80s to near 90 degrees. I'm Severe Weather Team 9 meteorologist Jeff Exline.
We're all feeling the weight of COVID-19. But for kids in poverty around the world, things are becoming desperate. Join Compassionate. Provide for a family in poverty. Make your one-time $40 gift. Text HOPE to 83393. News updates at the top and bottom of the hour. Then talk about it in between.
This is a major issue.
News Radio 1170 WWVA.
We now return to Mark Stein here on the Rush Limbaugh program.
Yeah, Rush is out. You know why that is, because he is very upfront and honest about it, as he was about that grim week. About all this stuff, but Rush is honest about everything, and it's all of a piece, the fact that he's honest about terrible things that are happening to him. But you know how this works. He comes back when he's at full strength, and that might be in a day or two, it might be in a day or three, but he will be back. In the meantime, you know, you can alleviate this. You can't totally get over it. But you can go to rushlimbaugh.com. You can take out a subscription to the Limbaugh Letter, which is actually one of the most brilliant examples of compression in the history of artistic creation. They take the great entirety of the flood of craziness that is all around us and compress it into pithy distillation of the global scene, what you need to know, what's going on, what's happening, Rush's unique take on it, Rush's ability. This is the thing that makes the Limbaugh Letter such a... I mean, it's fun just, if you're just kind of idly doing nothing, you don't particularly want to think about politics or whatever. And as I always say, what I love about it is the way he's just picked out like a couple of dozen little footer page 38 type stories you used to find in the newspaper that absolutely sum up the importance of the age, and that's the best thing about it. He also does terrific interviews with great conservative thinkers, and you won't want to miss that. And all you got to do is go to rushlimbaugh.com and see the button called the Limbaugh Letter and become a subscriber to the Limbaugh Letter, and it will ameliorate days such as these when Rush is undergoing that fairly hellish treatment, and you have to put up with some sinister foreign guest hosts. When I said I was talking about how the Chinese, the great thing about the Chinese, I envy them, is they can wake up in the morning and just concentrate on taking over the world, which they're pretty much doing. And we, on the other hand, are just full of rubbish. This is a story from north of the border, from the Globe and Mail, which is like the New York Times of Canada, but without the jokes. The Globe and Mail headline, "Is it time to decolonize your lawn?" You think about the lawn as an example of, well, I guess it's not white privilege, it's green privilege. But as John Douglas Belshaw, a Canadian history professor at Thompson Rivers University in Kamloops, BC, says, Kamloops, British Columbia, says, "What is a lawn but a statement of control over nature? That's a huge part of settler culture. You see that river there, we can dam that, we can organize that water, we can make that water work for us." He's right. In my town, the first settlers, 1763, was a guy who dragged his mill wheels up from Connecticut on the frozen ice of the Connecticut River. He dragged them all the way up the frozen ice of the Connecticut River to New Hampshire. His descendants are neighbors of mine, and then when he got to this newly granted township, He dragged them up a brook, and he put his mill wheels on that brook, and he began harnessing that river to work for him. So that that was his white privilege. Before, even if there aren't any black people, even if there aren't any indigenous people, even if there aren't any Hispanics, even if there aren't any Muslims, even if there aren't any transgenders, even if there's nobody and he's in the wilderness, the white privileged man is still exercising his white privilege over the river, and then he decides the mill works for him, and he starts to make a pretty nice living from it, and his grandchild in the late 19th century wanted to get a little bit European and have a manicure. So the lawn is a colonialist symbol. According to a serious commentary in a major newspaper, the lawn is a symbol of colonialism and environmental hostility. Because you've flattened it, you've planted grass, you put in some attractive rose beds, maybe a bit of topiary with the hedge, maybe you've got a little trellis, you've got a fancy trellis with a rose trellis. That's like environmental colonialism. What you should do is let nature reclaim that lawn, maybe put a few wolves in it to keep the kids on their toes while they're trying to make it down to the road to wait for the school bus. This is what we're talking about as the Chinese take over. Here's another story. These are just spirits of the apes stories. Spirits of the apes. The alarming rise of the techno-sexuals from my old newspaper, the Daily Telegraph. Research by the sex toy company Revi. I don't know what that is, but it sounds Chinese to me. Maybe the Chinese make everything else. They've obviously made all the sex toys too, so that's what you're getting into when you acquire those kind of habits. 40% of men admit to being aroused by their smart speaker Alexa. You know Alexa, this thing they got on the computers now? How pathetic is that? They call these people techno-sexuals, these people who are turned... Alexa, even if you are turned on by Alexa, 40% of men are turned on by her. So what are the chances of you ever getting to walk her down the aisle? As that relationship is going though, techno-sexuals. This is what we talk about while the Chinese take over the planet. And we are in one of those huge moments of history. Very important. It's extraordinary to me. We play, we've got now this basically lockdown is everywhere. Except that in large parts of Europe, they're kind of emerging from it in a fairly coherent way. So America is becoming a kind of outlier on that front because there's sort of wacky places like San Francisco where if you serve government employees, you're allowed to, and if you serve private individuals, you're not. Even in so-called Eurosocialist countries, they don't have that division. The last 6 months has been devastating if you believe in economic liberty and if you believe in the free market, because the lockdown has been a total distortion of the free market. All your local stores are closed, all your mom and pop stores are closed. If you want something, you've got to order it from Amazon. So you're transferring, you're taking money. Essentially what's happened over the last 6 months is that money from the mom and pop sector, money from the local sector, money from your local shopping mall, money from your local main street has instead been put in the hands of people who really don't need any more money, like Amazon and Apple and these kind of guys. So in effect, there's been a massive transfer of the economy from mom and pop to Jeff Bezos, who can use it to prop up his dying newspaper, the Washington Post, for a few more years. You made the world's richest man even richer. That's not in any conservative's interest. Not in any conservative's interest. So economic lockdown doesn't meet any plausibly conservative theory of the economy. It's delivering even more of the economy into hands of people who already control too much of it and in fact should be broken up. And at the same time, we've had actually the citizen. We keep saying, well, wait a minute, who are you to say there are just men and women? That's rubbish. That's completely binary of you. There are cis men and trans men and cis women and trans women, and there are intersexuals, and there are two-spirited, and there are 57 different genders. Screw all that. Suddenly lockdown comes along. Nobody's interested in the 57 genders anymore. We're in a completely binary world. You're either essential or not essential. And oddly enough, most of the essential people turn out to be government workers, and most of the non-essential people turn out to be people who own their own businesses or work for small businesses. A completely binary world. You know, there's no 57 varieties there. There's just essential and non-essential for 6 months. For 6 months. And we have these stories now about, oh, what if the Trump people don't accept that they've lost? On November the 3rd, they take to the streets all these crazy right-wing people. I wish, you know, for the last 6 months, free-born peoples. And America has been as bad as this. There are a few places that are worse. I was in Ireland a couple of months ago, and in Ireland, you can only go basically within 3 miles of your home. That's your freedom of movement restricted. Same in the Australian state of Victoria. Freeborn peoples accept that they can only travel within 3 miles of their home for purposes permitted by the government.